Welcome to the Real Life Buyer podcast. In this podcast, you will hear interviews with business owners, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, authors, and technical specialists in their field. These professionals will hasten your development, accelerate your career, and broaden your business know-how. Now, introducing your host, Dave Barr, interviewing with a purchasing twist.
Hello, and welcome to the Real Life Buyer. How can the concept of love be incorporated into a business to achieve greater success and fulfillment for all those that work there? Our next guest has a track record of building and developing businesses into multi-million-dollar companies. She has been the owner of the English Hills Country Club and Terrace for close to 40 years, has been an executive director of Rays of Hope for Haiti for over 23 years, was an executive director of Careforce International for over 6 years. And not only this, but she's the author of Love Is and Cry Until You Laugh. Her journey has been far from a breeze, and she has fought many personal battles and endured considerable difficulties. Today, I'm proud to introduce you to Kim Sorrelle and to discover more about her story of endurance and success and how love can be applied in business. So without further ado, I welcome Kim onto the podcast. Hi, Kim.
Hi, David. So nice to be here. Nice to see you.
It certainly is. I'm very pleased to have you on the show. I'm really looking forward to today. I mentioned in the intro that you faced some challenges in life, personal and business. To give my audience understanding and context, would you unpack some of the highs and lows of your journey that ultimately led you to write Love Is?
Sure, absolutely. I started my first business right out of high school and have been in business my whole life. And so I love starting businesses. I love making them grow. And it's always nice to sell one and get some money. That's always a good time. And it's great to employ people. You know, relationships are everything and your staff is everything. And so I was going about life thinking things were pretty good and my kids were getting older. And so I wasn't changing any more diapers and things like that that made things easier. And then I was diagnosed with cancer. And 4 months later, my husband was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and died 6 weeks after that. And I didn't know what I was going to do. You know, life took a huge turn for me. Like I thought I had my life laid out. We were going to be these 95-year-old people on rockers on the front porch drinking lemonade and smiling at each other or whatever it is that 95-year-old people do sitting on the front porch. And now instead I had this whole different life and I had to figure out what it meant. And it made me question some things. And one of the things that it made me question is the true meaning of love. Because we read about it, you know, there's movies, there's books, there's Nicholas Sparks and, you know, Ed Sheeran, you know, whatever, talking about love. But there seems to be this mystery about it. And so I wanted to figure it out. I wanted to know that I was doing the rest of my life the right way. And so I decided I would go on this year-long quest to figure out the true meaning of love. And I found it.
Okay. Well, we'll obviously dive into that a little bit. Intrigued, obviously, you started a business so young. That's quite amazing in itself. And obviously creating a successful business is the dream of many people. So what would you say are the key success factors, the behaviors, the traits that would enable you to identify, start and build your businesses to a multi-million-dollar company size?
Well, I would say, first of all, business is business. So whether you're running a golf course or a grocery store or a leasing company, whatever it is, business is business. And so if you look first at the opportunity and see what opportunities there are in your area or in the world, and figure out, you know, what's going to fill a need, or you know, where is there more room to fill more needs in a particular area. So the business itself doesn't really matter. I think it's how much work are you willing to put in, how much effort, how much time, how much education are you going to keep growing as a leader, keep going to seminars, read all the business books. I devour them like breakfast. I think I love business books and I learn something from every one that I've ever read. And I think it's just sticking to it, working hard. You know, I've had people over my lifetime say to me, oh gosh, you know, I really wish I owned my own business and I would be taking 3-day weekends and I'd travel as much as I could and, do all these things. And I'm like, oh man, then don't own your own business. It is not for the faint of heart. You have to put a whole lot of work in to get to the point where you're taking 3-day weekends.
Wow, that's right. It sounds like you had some routines that you established, to make sure you're successful. You can't just, as you say, go at it ad hoc. What would they say were the key routines that, you would explain to people how you went about your business day? And was the business day the 7-day a week for quite a while? Or, if you managed to get down to the 3-day working week? Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, well, it kind of depended on the business. And so one of the businesses I had was a golf course with event facilities. And in the summertime, when golf was in full swing, we did tons of golf outings, like 160 golf outings every summer. And so that was 7 days a week. And so, yes, during the summer it was definitely 7 days a week. And I had great staff, great managers and whatever, but still, there's always still stuff when you're that busy. And, but leasing companies and things like that, I've always been on call 7 days a week. I've owned a lot of buildings over the years. And so if there's a fire alarm, if there's an alarm that gets tripped, whatever, I'm the one that gets the phone call and has to drive to wherever in the middle of the night and figure out what's going on. So it's definitely a 7-day a week thing for sure. I think there certainly are businesses maybe that aren't 7 days a week, perhaps. But I think one of the things that separates us entrepreneurs from the rest of the pack is that our job's not done at 5 o'clock. We might be on our way home from work at 5, 6 o'clock at night, but our job is never done. There's always more work to do. That we're not in a position where we get this much work done in a day, then our job is done. Then we can go play pickleball or whatever it is we do, but our job is never done. And so it's, 7 days a week.
Yeah. And that's difficult, obviously, for people who have families as well. Is that something you struggled with a little bit? Do you have you've obviously had a great partner that supported you. So how did that work for you?
Yeah, well, I have 5 kids. So somehow it worked. And now I have 11 grandchildren.
Wow.
And, but my kids were involved in business. My kids learned from an early age that business is a family affair. And so when I was growing up, my father was an entrepreneur. He had a plastic bag manufacturing company, and he put a machine in our basement. And if we wanted money to go to a movie or go out with friends to lunch or whatever it was, we had to make plastic bags. And that's how we made our money to be able to go do stuff. Well, with my kids, it was kind of the same. If they wanted to earn money, there was always opportunity to earn money. And, they started by cleaning golf carts and washing dishes or whatever kind of jobs we could find for them. But it is hard. I think a work-life balance is hard when you're in it so deep and you have so much that you're juggling at a time.
Yeah. Now, one of the things you mentioned there was having great employees. And I'm thinking about the interaction with your employees. Do you think it's about adopting a sort of servant leadership approach where the focus is on helping and supporting team members rather than, some would say, exerting power over them that could lead, obviously, to more collaboration and production? Is that how you see things?
It's funny that you asked that, because there certainly are different leadership styles and people think about life different ways and everybody's different. And my dad was the taskmaster. He was that leader. In fact, he would say to me sometimes, why don't you swear? Why don't you swear at somebody? And it's like, well, if I ever swear at somebody, if I ever, feel that angry at somebody, we probably shouldn't be working together, because there's another way to handle things. And so my dad was old school leadership. And even though I admire him as a businessman, and he was a great businessman, that is not a leadership style I ever bought into. I do believe in collaboration, and people need to be appreciated, especially this pre-COVID world where people are begging for staff. There are stores that aren't open as long as they normally would be because they don't have staff to run, at restaurants that are only opening part of the restaurant. It's difficult. Getting staff today is difficult. So treasure the people you have and treat them right. And I had people that have worked for me for 30 years. people will stay. You treat people right, they will become your biggest fan. They'll be your greatest business ambassador. They'll be talking your business up and be loyal to your company. But authentically, not forcing it, but authentically, be yourself and let people be who they're created to be and figure out, I always thought that if I ever got to a point where I thought I needed to let somebody go, which, is not a fun thing to do. Nobody enjoys that, right? But there are times when it's a blessing to the other person because maybe they're not in the right position. And so before I let somebody go, I always look inside first. Did I give them enough training? Do they really understand my expectations? Are they in the right job? Are they equipped to do this job? Does their personality and their skill set fit in the job that I have them in? Is there someplace else to move them? And if I ever got to a point where it was like, yeah, nope, they've been trained, they're equipped, they're whatever, they should be able to do this job and they're just not the right fit for us, then a conversation would be like that, you're a wonderful person, but you're just not a wonderful person for this job. And I think when you start to devalue people and get angry or think that you're better than because your name is on the office door and not theirs, that's when you get into trouble.
That's great. The fact that you're having some time for self-reflection before you consider the person isn't right. That's not something I hear very often. Hear a lot of managers criticize people for not doing X, Y, or Z. But as you say, the fact is that you're saying, well, have I given them the opportunities, the skills, the competence, the wherewithal to do the job first, I think is something a little bit more unique. So I think that's really interesting. You mentioned that. And you're creating, by the sounds of it, a culture of care and compassion, touching on more of the love side of things. And you're creating that within the workplace. And I guess that leads, as you mentioned, to increased employee satisfaction and productivity. Do you say productivity is one of the key outputs of people being in a happy and pleasant environment?
Oh, for sure. For sure. When people enjoy their work, I think about me, when I'm enjoying what I'm doing, I can't wait. I can't wait to go to work. I'm excited to go to work. I'm not counting the moments until Friday and then dreading the next day on Sunday night. I'm excited to go to work. And I think anybody feels that way. When you enjoy what you're doing and you enjoy who you're doing it with, your whole attitude is different and you're going to be more productive. You're going to be more loyal, more dependable, more honest. Just all those things are just natural things that happen.
I'd be interested to say, if somebody said to you, describe the culture you've created in your business, what is your management style? How would you describe that to them?
I would say an open door. My door is always open. And I show and do really authentically appreciate everyone that I have had the pleasure of working with, that I get to work with. And so anybody, it doesn't matter what position they have, I am always accessible, always, even if, they've got their two bosses away from me or whatever, I'm always accessible and we'll listen and hear them out. I don't let people bash people though. That's one of the rules that I have is that no gossiping and don't come in and tell me what a bad person somebody is. If there's personal stuff between a couple of people, they need to work it out themselves. But if there's something that they think could make their job better, could make it more productive, please come and tell me. I'm always happy to listen. I think there's a difference when you realize that you don't know it all compared to when you're trying to think that you know it all, but there's always room to learn. There's always more. There's always somebody doing it better, somebody that you can learn from, something that you see that you can change or tweak. And so open door, I guess, long answer to a short question.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued by some of the kind of essential ingredients as you see it. There are some people, some managers I've worked for in the past that actively put themselves out where they walk the floor, so to speak, every day. They make it a point. Perhaps the first thing of every day is to go around and check on everybody who's working in the business. Is Is that something you actively do, or is it just something that, you spread out over a period of time? I'm not sure how many people that work for you, of course. So I'm just trying to get a gauge of how do you touch base with people and see how they are and gauge the atmosphere.
Well, if I'm there, if I'm in one of the buildings, if I'm at one of the businesses, I never pass by anybody without saying hello, and finding out how they're doing and how their family is, and truly caring about people. I've seen people in business just kind of rush by, just they're on a mission. They have their mind set up. I need to be in the office. I need to be wherever it is. And it doesn't take long to just stop and say hello. It doesn't take long. And so I think engaging as much as possible in reason, right? I mean, not sit down and have a whole conversation, because there is work to do.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And you're paying them as well. But to be friendly, to really care about people, I think is important.
Yeah. Do you ask a lot of questions of people? Say, how are things going is one thing, but you say, do you see opportunities for improvement? What do you think about this? Do you ask lots of questions to tease out of people, things that they feel that you actually do have an active interest in, both themselves and what they do?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And in any position, from the bottom to the top. If I'm with somebody and they're doing their job and I say, "Guy, is there an easier way, or is there a machine that we can have that would make your life easier, or is there a better way to do something?" They're the ones doing it. So, they're going to be the hands-on people that will understand if there needs to be change. It's funny, when I did this whole love thing, I used this 2,000-year-old poem that you hear at a lot of weddings in the US, maybe where you are as well. But love is patient, love is kind, does not envy, does not boast. And I decided I would take one word a month and figure out what is love that is patient, what is love that is kind. Most of the year I was in Haiti, which was interesting. But the very first one, love is patient, applies to business as vital and important. And it is, we know what patience is, right? We're not hurrying by. Maybe somebody has a question, we're stopping to answer the question, or maybe we're stuck in traffic and we're not honking our horn, and yelling at the cars in front of us. So we're showing patience. But love that is patient is different than that. Love that is patient. And I just believe you're supposed to love everybody. Like it's just the way to live. Just love everybody. And love that is patient would say that this is the most important moment of your life. This moment right here, right now. What's in the past is in the past, and what's in the future is yet to come. This is the moment that will come and go with or without you. And so showing love that is patient is being fully engaged with the person that you're with. And I have to say, I was terrible at this. I was horrible at this. I thought that I was this great multitasker, and I could think about a meeting I had later that day, who had to get to soccer practice, what I needed to get from the grocery store, and be fully engaged at the same time. And I found that is absolutely not true. I need to focus. I need to stop and focus. And it took a lot of practice. It's taken me a lot of practice to get to a point where I can stop everything else going on in my mind and give the person I'm with, the person I love, my full attention. But when I started practicing this in business, it changed. It was a big game changer, huge game changer, because I listened in a whole different way. And I heard things that I never would have heard. Even though they were saying the same, we would have said the same words, I heard them a different way. I didn't hear based on assumptions of what they were going to say or labels that I put on somebody or anything else. I actually heard their words. And there is something wonderful about being heard, right? There's something great about when you're being heard, truly being heard, and not just, hey, how are you? Whatever. Like we like to skate by all the time, right? But to really value the moment and really listen, and you learn a lot.
Could I take the words of love is being present then? Because as you're describing to me, that's the fact that you are fully engaged in the moment. you're not giving kind of lip service to, oh, how are you, Fred, today? And you've got 10 other things on your mind. You're actually really meaning it and saying it as if you mean it. So it's all about presence at the time. Yes,
absolutely. Absolutely. And there's certainly talk about that nowadays, right? About being present. But, and I've read the books and drank the Kool-Aid, but it really didn't sink into me until I did this, until I lived, amongst the tarantulas and snakes and getting chased by a motorcycle gang and all the crazy stuff that happened in Haiti. It didn't sink in until then, what it really means to be present, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, in every possible way, be present.
That's quite intriguing. You said I was chased by a motorcycle gang. Is that a short story you could share?
Sure. Well, I was crossing the border between Haiti and Dominican Republic. And I was with two friends of mine from the US, two men. We had to take this big truck back to the Dominican Republic. And so we had tools. It was open, it was like a giant sized pickup truck, bigger than a pickup. I don't know, whatever kind of truck you'd call that,
monster
but open in the back.
Yes,
monster truck thing. And so we had tools and stuff back there. And so I had crossed the border a bunch of times, and you're always told, don't stop on the Haitian side, don't stop on the Haitian side. And we were going from Haiti to the Dominican Republic. And so we get to the border and people are waving us down and trying to steer us a different direction. I'm like, no, just keep going, just keep going. So we get to the other side because there's a building on the Dominican side and the front part of it is Haiti and the back part of it's Dominican Republic. You walk a few steps and get 2 stamps on your passport. Well, they changed things and we were supposed to stop on the other side. And so this very kind Dominican man came up, he spoke English and he said, oh, you were supposed to stop. And so he arranged for 2 motorcycles to take us back over the border and get our stamps and then come back and carry on. And so he arranged the price and he negotiated. And so we had that going. And so one of my friends stayed with the truck and all the tools. And the other 2 of us, 2 motorcycles through these big puddles. It was a good time, I'll tell you. But we got back after getting the stamps and the drivers wanted more money.
Oh, dear.
And I said, no, we negotiated a price. We established a price before we left. And no, I'm not going to give you more money. And so I walked away and we got our passports stamped on the Dominican side, got in the truck, started driving. And the man who was helping us out hopped in. He needed a ride somewhere. So we had 2 guys in the back and then me and my friend was driving in the front. And all of a sudden we're hearing, go, faster. We're like, what is going on? And then we're hearing banging on the truck. We were getting these big rocks thrown at us and with these 2 guys in the back. And so my friend who was driving just put the pedal to the metal, as they say, and drove like a crazy person. We were driving as fast as that thing would go. And then all of a sudden we're surrounded by motorcycles. These motorcycles are chasing us and some coming alongside of us. And we're taking curves and it felt like we were doing it on 2 wheels. We were going as fast as we could possibly go, and it's dirt roads and dust and gravel flying everywhere. It was crazy. Finally, they stopped. Finally, they were gone. The motorcycles were gone. And we were driving and our adrenaline was rushing. It was nuts. And my friend was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, we could have been killed. We could have been, I don't know what could have happened, but it was bad. And he said, what was that all about? And I said, well, I think it's because when we came back, they asked for more money. And I said, no. And he said, well, how much more did they want? And I said, $5. And he said, you gotta be kidding me. So for $5, we could have not had our lives threatened and not gone through that experience.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's a pretty amazing story. I'm glad you shared that. That's awesome. What can I say? For $5. Oh, dear me.
Right.
Well, amazing. Well, I better get back on track because that's really good. That's throwing me a little bit. Okay. One of the things I wanted to mention, we've talked a lot about employees, how perhaps you were employing the principles of something I've seen referred to as radical candor. Don't know if you've heard that statement, where it's about being honest and caring in order to create open and positive relationships with employees. And I hear a lot of those kind of words. How about from the point of view of the customer, though? Is there something in your teaching where you embody what you're saying, not just with the employee, but how you encourage your employees to interact with your customers?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody needs to be treated with the same dignity and the same level of respect. And honesty is huge. We're all going to make mistakes in business. There's going to be times when we forgot something didn't get shipped on time, something didn't happen. I was in the wedding business for years and years because I had event facilities, and oh my word, dealing with brides, you got to make sure it's perfect. It's the one day, everything has to be perfect. And there have been times over the years that something slipped through our hands, something did not get taken care of that should have. And if you can quick rectify it with nobody noticing, great. Nobody ever needs to know. But if it's something that is not going to be that way, just to be honest with your customers, to tell the truth about what happened instead of trying to make something up and then trying to remember what you made up and then remember the next time what you made up the last time and whatever. Just be honest. Just be honest. The radical candor, in theory, it's great, right? In theory, it's great. And used the right way, it's good. But when it's used to the extreme, when people think that just allows them to say whatever it is that pops into their head without thinking first about, how much respect you have and treating the person kindly and with love and compassion, then, your candor might not be radical. It might be inappropriate. And so balancing that and realizing, yes, you want openness, but somebody's opinion is not the only opinion. How people sometimes say, oh my, about food, even about silly things, oh my gosh, I would never eat scallops. They're the worst thing in the world. Oh my gosh, they're so bad. Well, the guy sitting next to you might love scallops. And it's that same way in all conversations. Like if you talk in definitives and this is the only way, then you're not very open-minded, because there's not that much in life that is so black and white, that is so, you don't murder somebody. That's pretty black and white. But there's a lot that's not. There's a lot of things that have gray area. And letting people live in the gray area and respecting that and respecting each other's opinions, that makes radical candor effective and worthwhile.
Yeah. Now, I'm hearing obviously a consistent message now. And the key thing behind all this is that you've got to have the right employees that fit the projection that you're seeking. Now, how on earth do you recruit the right people? How do you find that they've got the right cultural fit with your businesses? What's your secret? Is it purely gut feel, or do you have some method of testing for the right people for your business?
One of the best ways, one of the most effective ways that I've gotten great staff is recommended by other great staff members. When you are working hard at what you do, you're not going to recommend somebody who isn't going to work hard, isn't, going to qualify for the job, isn't going to do a good job, because it's going to reflect on you. So instead, you're going to recommend the people that you think are great and would be fabulous for the job. And most of the time, the staff is right. They are great and fit in and are real assets to the company. So most of the people on my staff are there because they were recommended by somebody else on staff.
Right, that's really good. So would you say that cultural fit, the type of person they are, is more important than the qualifications?
Yes, 100%. You can teach anybody anything. You can always teach somebody something, but you're not going to teach them how to be a different person. They are who they are. And so absolutely cultural fit and on-the-job training, yes, way more important than just the qualifications, for sure.
Excellent. Now, we touched on Haiti, and I suspect you've got millions of stories about Haiti. And I think you actually wrote your book, Love Is, while you're in Haiti. Is that right? Were you based there where you wrote it?
Yes.
Okay. So would you say, it's something I'm quite interested in, you obviously got a huge love for the work you did in Haiti. And would you say that incorporating a sense of a purpose and meaning into your work, or into the work the company does, that will naturally foster a sense of love and connection with the organization itself?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think businesses, when you open the door for service, when you have opportunities that your staff can serve and you can serve, it does change things. Because when you get outside of yourself and you realize that there are people less fortunate than you are, people that need maybe things that you can have to offer, and then you freely give it, it's a whole different thing. And when you bring that into your company, it's a completely different thing. So one of the policies I had is if anybody ever went on trip to go help with Habitat for Humanity or a missions trip with their church or whatever it is, but to Guatemala for a week or Dominican Republic for a couple of weeks or, whatever it was, I paid them for the time gone and it didn't count against their vacation time. And so people were open to go do that. And it paid off for me. I was the winner there because when people come back, they're changed. You can't go to a country like Haiti where the average person makes less than $2 a day. You can't go to a place like that and go and work and serve and not come back different than the person that left. And you're going to come back better. And so I end up benefiting by their trip as much as they end up benefiting by their trip.
Yeah. And that certainly demonstrates the commitment behind your convictions as well. Obviously, you're paying people to have those experiences and, you're giving them all the support and training. It just keeps reinforcing all the time how important they are to you. And by definition, one would think that would be reciprocated in the way they work for you.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's true. I think, and, service is a great healer of grief, I figured out, which you don't hear that often. But when I went to Haiti and worked after my husband passed away, that was a game changer for me to go and serve. And I think anytime you can serve, and you can serve at home, nobody has to take a year and go to Haiti and figure out the true meaning of love. I did that. I did everybody's homework for you. You don't have to go. But do something. If we all did something to help people, if we all did something, the world would be a better place. The world would be a different place.
Absolutely. Treating, others in an appropriate way. Obviously, the way that you like to be treated, obviously, it always sounds a bit cliche, but not many people actually do it, unfortunately. But there we go. So before I ask my final question, I'm sure people are really intrigued by the things you said. You're intrigued by your book. What's the best places for them to find out more about you and learn and connect with you?
I'm literally the only Kim Sorrelle spelled my way in the entire world because my last name is ridiculous. It has way too many letters. It has 2 E's, 2 R's, 2 L's. SORRELLE. KimSorrelle.com is my website. My book is called Love Is, very simple title. Love Is, dark blue cover. And it's available everywhere. And if you just type Love Is into Google, chances are I'm going to pop up in reasonably quick way. And I love it when people reach out. And I love communicating with people. And I even have this on my website. I've got a free 14-day love challenge. And here Valentine's Day is coming up. So this free 14-day love challenge. And if you sign up for it, I have available these wristbands, WWLD, what would love do? Because if you can answer any question that way, you're going to be doing the right thing.
That's really nice. That's quite cool. Right. My last question. See, the clock is ticking, but so firstly, I want to say thank you for some really inspirational thoughts here. I love the 2 and 4 we've had. Now, I'm just thinking now, in this moment, what reflection on the lessons you have learned would you feel are the most important, have the biggest impact and benefit to anybody with their own businesses listening to this podcast today? What would you feel are the most important things for people to reflect on, think about, and share?
I would think, first of all, think about how you treat people. And are you treating people the way that you should? And how are you looking at people? Are you looking at staff with whatever label they have in the company? Or are you looking at them with the label that their mother gave them at birth, and by name? And how are you really invested in relationships? Because that is the key. It's the key for you too. It's not just the key for them, it's the key for you. your life is going to be more enjoyable when you make relationships a priority.
Lovely note to finish on. That's been really quite an uplifting chat we've had today. Thank you very much for sharing everything you have. And hopefully you'll continue to be surrounded by love.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This has been wonderful.
Thanks, Kim. You take care. So there's another Real Life Buyer podcast. I do hope you enjoyed it and it's given you some ideas and inspiration for greater action and achievement. If you are a purchasing or a supply chain professional, business owner or director, come and join my Facebook group, the Purchasing and Supply Chain Community Hub, a safe place to engage with like-minded, friendly people. See you soon. Bye.